So hello, everyone. My name is Tim Deep. I'm the Customer Success Manager for DCKAP. We're excited to have you guys all here. So just want to do a quick thank you to our sponsors. We have BigCommerce, we have Nexus, APS Payments, Avalara, Gorgeous.digital, and Content for Commerce. So, and the DCKAP, we're the host for everything. So next I'd like to bring up Joel Pearson. He's the VP of Sales for BigCommerce. He brings about 18 years of experience during driving sales revenue, building teams, and staying focused on his customers. He is known for his sales achievements and leadership in the SaaS industry. Right now, I'd like to bring up Joel, and he's going to do a presentation in terms of expand your B2B footprints, tools, and tactics for online B2B success. Joel, take it away.
Hello, everyone. And again, I hope everyone is staying safe. Sorry we can't be physically present. As my family would tell you, I love an audience. So I'm missing out on this opportunity to be on a literal stage, but happy to have the virtual platform here. What I also wanted to do is thank everybody for carving out time in their day. So guys, thank you again. What I put together is a very concise 85 slides with heavy context to take you through. This is the opportunity and B2B. I'm kidding, I would not do that to anybody in our audience today. But just a couple of high-level slides to help set the kind of the best practice standards for taking your business online. So whether you already are online and you want to maximize that footprint or something that you're considering for the first time is what we're going to walk you through. And why I've been given this opportunity to have the conversation with you guys today is just where we're uniquely positioned as a company, as BigCommerce, and our footprint in working with B2B merchants. So if you're not familiar with us, we're a global e-commerce SaaS provider. Our platform powers roughly 60,000 merchants today, ranging from people who are getting online for the first time to major Fortune 10 brands. So some of these brands that may include, you may be familiar with Fitbit, Skullcandy, P&G, to name a few. We've been very fortunate because we've taken a very unique approach to the market under this umbrella of what we call open SaaS. So if you're thinking about going online and you're thinking about bringing your business and having this e-commerce footprint, what's really important to start thinking about is how you can work with a long-term partner that will help be future-proof for you. So where you are today isn't going to be where you are when your GMV hits 10 million, and it's not going to be who you are, and your identity grows when you hit 100 million plus. And having a company that can work with you through all stages is incredibly important. And that's what our open SaaS approach does. It really marries the benefits of everything you would realize from a pure SaaS model. Having product updates, managed compliance, security, bug fixes, all of those taken off of your shoulders, but it gives you the flexibility of pure open source. So the ability to configure your site and personalize that customer experience the way you want it, we can rival that of many open source platforms. So it marries the benefits of both and allows you to have a scalable platform that is going to be as relevant as you are today as where you're going to go in the future. And that's enabled us to be uniquely positioned to also work with roughly 65% of the client base that we work with today has a B2B and direct-to-consumer presence in their channels. And more importantly, about 35% of those are pure B2B. So when we had this opportunity, we thought this was a relevant topic for us to share, given our experience in supporting these many brands. But what we also thought was important is to validate it beyond our own experience. And as you can see, as we look through a lot of the third-party validation about the growth in this business segment, it's a huge opportunity. Our early estimates, as we look at this as being one of the fastest growing segments within e-commerce, it's on trajectory to hit $1.8 trillion in the next 3 years. So it's a huge market share opportunity for those that are currently online and those that are looking to take their business online. Beyond that, this is an opportunity for you to engage with your customers in a way that they want to engage with you. It doesn't mean that you don't still have a great focus on the things that have made you successful today. Whether you're doing phone, whether you have distributor channels, doesn't mean that those things need to disappear, but it's a unique opportunity to create a 24/7 low total cost of ownership play that you can ensure you're touching your customers and are opening up channels for them with the ways that they want to both research your brand and ultimately maybe even purchase from your brand. And as you can see, numbers roughly 65% of the market today would prefer conducting their purchase research online. And then last but not least, as we think about that last validation as to the why of bringing your business online, is the fact that just like any other normal customer, everybody out there is conducting the majority of their research from a mobile device. And you ensuring that you have a great branded seamless experience, that they can conduct the research, get the information they need, feel validated in supporting their purchase decision, and do it in a way that is relevant to how they're engaging, ensures that you can create and maximize revenue channels out there. So we're going to look at a couple of tools and best practices around this. But as we think about doing that, what I always like to think about doing too, to first set the stage, is make sure that we kind of look at a quick time in history that set the stage for what we're dealing with today. And what I'm going to walk you through, I absolutely acknowledge is not the same scenario that we're dealing with today. But there are some really interesting parallels. And so what I wanted to do is share a little bit of a story with you, because when I typically look at times in my life where I've reached crossroads, I have found challenges both personally and professionally, what I try to do is learn from the past. And I think it's if we don't learn those lessons in the past, we're doomed to repeat some of the mistakes that we've made. And some businesses right now are facing some real difficult choices that they have to make around the disruption economically in our nation and globally. So whether these are direct hits to their bottom line, whether this has impacted their supply chain, there are real decisions that have to be made. But in our not too distant past, we also had another period of our time where there was a lot of economic uncertainty. So I referenced earlier P&G was a client, and because they were a client of ours, I wanted to do some research into their history. And one of the things I found really interesting is what they decided to do during the Great Depression. Obviously, a huge economically unstable time in our history. Unemployment rates were skyrocketing. And yet, what I found really interesting in my research is P&G actually really prospered. I mean, all pun intended here, they actually came out smelling better after the Great Depression than they were pre. And I really wanted to dig into the details around this. And what I found interesting is, while much like we're seeing a little bit of compression in our markets today, this was an organization that was at a crossroads. Their typical grocery store buyers were halting as purchases of their products to stock on shelves. But what they decided to do, instead of shrink back and hold back and get really conservative with their funds, they look at this as an opportunity to double down. Now, again, this doesn't make sense for everybody, but if you think about it, even during this time, people were going to still need soap. So what P&G did is they started looking at interesting advertising venues. And they were one of the first CPG clients to ever sponsor radio serials during this time. And in fact, I think the one that they first got into was something called Oxydol's Own Ma Perkins. It was an ongoing series about a kindly widow and how she was managing through this, unique time in their history. Well, by featuring their product during this time, they actually were gaining a huge, not only mind share, but market share. And because of the success of that initial radio serial, they launched several more campaigns built around their products. And then ultimately, as they started coming out of this and down the road, this was now the foundation for them to go into television advertising. And now today, what we found is that they came out way healthier from a financial perspective than any other of their competitors. They actually increased revenue during a difficult time. And ultimately, now they've used this foundation of the success they had back during this economic uncertain time to now what they're building their business all around subscription services and getting basically a repeatable, a reoccurring revenue model out of it. It has been a phenomenal opportunity. And what we really found from this, again, is that this doesn't mean that this is the right approach for everybody. But what it does give everybody hopefully some food for thought is that if you can ask yourself the question, do I have a viable product given the circumstances in the climate that we're in today? And if so, what can I do to uniquely position myself to get those services out there to grab mind share and market share? So that's where we think there's a huge opportunity that was further validated, not only our viewpoint and working with the clients that we do, but also by the market. So I wanted to kind of walk into some of those things that we think would help position everybody well. And again, I can't do this justice in the maybe 13 minutes we have left together during our time to go through this. So what we'll go through is pretty high level, but we'll always make ourselves available if we can be a resource to help you through some of these considerations, as we've got great both sales engineers, solution architect, account executives that can make themselves not only a viable resource to you, but they can make themselves available at your discretion and when the timing is right for you. So without any further ado, what I wanted to do is jump into the 4 kind of tactics that we wanted to walk you through today. And the first one is really built around the consideration cycle. And when we think about how to start approaching this, it's really about defining your strategy to align to the question of how are your customers searching today? So it's not about just trying to rank particular keywords. It's literally trying to get in the mindset of your customers and what are the queries that they're running that's going to ultimately help them land on pages that are relevant to their search. So our recommendation always is when we start this off is start really applying a viewpoint and getting a perspective on a content landscape. Really, when I think about that, like what are searches that are ranking high today? See what your competitors are doing and really take a validated learning approach to the market. And as you start looking at that research, then we want to start turning that perspective into, if you can start seeing what's out there, how do you convert that very mindset into a sales funnel perspective? So if you think at the very top of the sales funnel, you're trying to build awareness. And this is a great opportunity that at the top of the funnel, leveraging blog content, trends, if you can identify anything that you can leverage from social media perspective, everything that will grab the top of the funnel. And then as we start moving down the funnel, if you think about lower down in that consideration cycle, you need validation points. So things that talk about the product advantages, competitive differences, and then ultimately how you can also leverage product reviews to further validate any purchase decision. So again, I won't read everything on this slide, but I want to set the context for this idea of, one, do your research up front. As you're gaining that research and you're getting that validated learning, bring those now into not only creating custom URLs, but bring that information into your product page and go from that consideration down to validating purchase throughout the path. This is an approach that we very much took with a client of ours called Fugu. You may not be familiar with them, but they both have a direct-to-consumer and a B2B model in their approach to the market. And what we found very interesting was that this was a client that absolutely came to the table already doing a lot of the research and due diligence. And ultimately why they selected to partner with us was a lot around the open SaaS concepts that we talked about, but they were also really tied to the SEO friendliness and feature set that we were going to be also enabled through our platform. Ultimately, in a very short amount of time, in a very saturated space, you can see that they were, at the time, right after their launch, they were able to be the #1 organic placement on Google. Only took them 60 days to launch, and you can see the huge impact it had on their revenue. Again, another great validating point that if you're not online today, you can do it quickly, you can do it cost effectively, and you can drive a lot of revenue during this time. And then Tim, I'll defer to you. I see questions that are popping up in my screen as I'm sharing my screen. I can't see the nature of the question, so if there's anything there specific that I need to give a pause before I move on, please let me know.
For sure. As of right now, I don't think there's any questions, but if there's any,
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All right, the next thing, pretty common sense again, as we talked about earlier, that one, people want to buy online, but 91% of them are doing that research from their mobile device, is to ensure that ultimately you're optimized for mobile. And so as we go through this, think about your B2B buyer as the same exact mindset of somebody who would be buying in a direct-to-consumer model. They do have all the same considerations. Maybe the biggest difference here in some of these instances, their purchases are going to be way more, they may have a higher average order value, and two, they may have some greater pressure on it because if something goes wrong in their personal purchase, they're on a hook for it, but if they're buying something wrong for their business, that may reflect poorly on their job. So from a B2B perspective, they still have all the same considerations that they're going through. And what they want to do ultimately is make sure that they can get to the information they want easily and feel validated along the way. So when we talk about this, again, we want this to be a direct reflection of your brand, right? And at the end of the day, for that to be a great buyer experience, that means at the front end, it has to be seamless for them to navigate your site and get around for them and search for the things they're looking for. And that ultimate purchase path needs to be frictionless as well. So it makes for a great user experience throughout. As we look at this as well, we really want this to become an extension of all your other revenue producing channels. So this should be as easy or seamless to them as if they were calling on the phone, or if they were standing in a brick and mortar environment. Can they get the information they need using the device that they're readily using? And can they transact with ease and confidence on your site? And there's a lot of paths that you can go down here, but a lot of ways, and you'll hear trends in the industry around PWA, progressive web apps, and different things that you could do, but nothing needs to be wildly complicated. And there are a lot of great platform providers out there that are going to already have mobile responsive design built into your platform that you can create a great look and feel. It'll adapt to every site, and it'll ensure that your customers can navigate quickly around and get to the information that they need. When we looked at this same approach for another client that, again, has both a direct-to-consumer and a B2B focus to their business model, Atlanta Light Bulbs, for them, this was a huge component of what they wanted to do. And they loved the mobile responsiveness that came from BigCommerce, but they also had a huge product catalog that they had to make sure that they could get their commercial clients to easily navigate around and get to the information they want. And in most cases, they're talking about commercial clients that are out in the field, whether they're contractors, interior designers, people who are going to be making decisions for their customers. And at the end of the day, they wanted something that would be really frictionless. And as they went through there, we were their vendor of choice designation. We're proud to serve them. But what was really important for them is as they set this up, the amount of volume that they were seeing coming through, being online, being in a mobile responsive environment. One, we could easily get their product catalog uploaded. Navigation was easy throughout the site experience. They were able to see 29% increase in their orders and a reduction in their abandoned revenue. So it was a huge opportunity and win for this organization that is further growing their B2B footprint. And I saw maybe a question flash this time. I'm happy to pause before I move on to the next two sections. Anything, Tim?
Yeah, we have one question. Hopefully you see it, but it's from Byron Bales. He's saying, does the mobile application integrate with Salesforce?
So what we do is natively out of the box. We have what we call basically an API infrastructure that's available. So we have about roughly 93% of our platform. We were talking about that open SaaS model before. So we have the ability to have integrations built out without any limitations. All right, hopefully that addressed that. So the next, what we want to talk about is product catalog and making sure that if you think about in terms of this section that we're going to cover here, almost everything we look to do in sales, whether it's teams that I manage here at BigCommerce or my past, or even when I was an individual contributor, was all centered around a transfer of confidence. Can we convey domain expertise and show that our solution, our platform, can meet your requirements and solve potential problems that you're facing today? And that's exactly what researchers coming to your site are going to be looking for, is that can they quickly get the information that they need? Can they have the same domain expertise that would be conveyed if they were having the conversations with somebody, but more readily and easily available to them via your product catalog? And so what we look at here is a lot of different aspects to make this a successful deployment for you. One of the first things that we looked at, though, is around this idea of search. So advanced search filters so people can really navigate or drill down to the information that they want to see, faceted search. So the variants that you may have in your different products, how deep and wide can you go on those to ensure that, again, the very particular demand or need or requirement of a customer they can get to and figure out very quickly. And then again, along those lines, how can you add other things to help validate that purchase decision? Whether that is testimonials around product use, whether that is product reviews from people that are like them, that again can remove any kind of that consideration or obstacle to purchase along the way. So again, we can maximize those events. So if you think about, again, I'll let you guys, I won't read all the bullets on here, but again, it's putting enough rich content onto these product pages that ensures people feel confident in making the purchase that first time and getting it right. So again, we talk about it making these very easy to navigate. We want this to absolutely feel like this would be nothing different than when they were going to be engaging with you in any of the other normal channels that they would typically have. And ultimately, what we want to also accomplish as you think about this, depending on the size of your product, your SKU count, and your product catalog, is having a platform in place that can make a bunch of API calls or a high amount of API calls. So you can then take down any product updates or to your site. Those things should be done in minutes, not hours. On our platform, you can make about 400 API calls a minute, and it has a dramatic impact on ensuring efficiency for our clients. So if you look through these again, faceted search, making sure that you have a lot of variants and rich content on your site, being able, if you need to make product category updates, that you can do so quickly because of the efficiency that your platform provider should be able to provide. And then ultimately, when we look at that net benefit again to our clients, again, this was now another client of ours. They sell through retail channels. There were about 2,000 retail customers when they were initially signing up with us. But they saw an 8x increase in productivity based on the efficiency gains that they saw from our API capabilities on our platform to manage over their 50,000 SKUs and make those product updates as needed quickly within minutes versus hours. All right, last thing I want to cover, hopefully I still have your guys' attention, thanks for hanging in there with me, is again, something that probably seems common sense and something that you would probably do is if you were on the phone with somebody or in person with somebody, is making sure that you're personalizing the experience for that customer. And when we look at this again, this is nothing more than making sure that you're relevant to the person that you're speaking to, and or in this case, the person who's coming online to engage with your brand. And it's an opportunity that we see that has completely been underserved in the market today. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. So it's not a one size fits all, but I want to give some food for thought for things that you may want to consider as you guys go through this consideration cycle. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is build brand loyalty. You want to make sure that you're relevant to the different user groups or customer groups that are coming to your site, and that you have the right loyalty reward programs or pricing available to them as a result. And when we look at that, one of the things that you want to look at being able to have in place is this basically idea of creating customer groups or customer segmentation. So are there certain groups that you know that you, by whether geography, whether it's by their purchase behavior, what if it's even by hitting certain statuses, that you can identify who they are. You can take unique marketing offers to these specific groups or incent people to move up these different kind of customer journey with you and hit these different segmentations with you. And then how you can then define even things like across these categories, what products they see at what price points. So this is a unique opportunity to serve the market in a way that as they come to your site and these groups are set up, things are already personalized for them. They could have discount levels associated with them, certain rewards associated with them, buying in bulk. And if you think that once you have that segmentation done, the lifetime value of that customer and how you can market to them becomes really unique to each group. Along those lines, as you have that customer segmentation built out, now it's the ability now to create unique price lists for them. So this ability then, as you can give them certain discounts by buying in bulk, certain discounts for hitting certain achievement levels with your brand or order history with your brand. A lot of ways that you can now manage list and pricing at a SKU level to these particular groups. So you can incent different purchase behavior as a result out of that. So another way to kind of make that a unique experience for them. One really unique thing that we've seen in the market today is a B2B customer of ours that I've heard their name pronounced both Fernita and Fernida. But they sell computer hardware. Servers are a big component of their business. And if you guys have ever personally had to go through the rigor of purchasing a server, you know there's a lot of configurations that need to be done. So they've created a really unique experience on their site about going through the configuration process. But the way that they further served their market and really making sure they were creating a personalized experience was now making that configuration shareable across their network. So whether they wanted to collaborate with a colleague or somebody in their peer group, they can make sure that they could take input from others before making this purchase and ensuring that they were making the right purchase the first time out. So personalization is, there's many facets to it, but again, if you can get a good idea of who your customer segments are, make relevant offers and rewards to those segments, and create price lists and discount opportunities to those that are loyal buyers or those that you can incent to buy in bulk, and then look at opportunities like a Fortnite to create some unique collaboration or experiences on site, you can take that in-store experience and bring it online. So Tim, I think that's everything I had. How did I do on time?
Oh, timing is good. You still have a little bit more time if you need. There's a question that came in from Eugendre, and she's asking, what will be your recommendation for a new agency with few developers? Where should we look for projects?
Yeah, again, I would highly encourage, if it's not just us, but there's other, providers, e-commerce platform providers out there, is get into their partner networks. Once you get into those partner networks, we can build awareness through setting up things like lunch and learns to get you evangelized in front of people. Right now is a really unique time that, especially for smaller agencies, there's a lot of business, I think, that are out there right now because major projects may be too expensive to do, and some of the major players may not be as apt to take on some things at a discounted price. But I think if your agency has some developers, you could work on a platform like ours that doesn't even require any custom development language. It's all built on things that will be native to your developers today. And then you could get awareness built out through our company and other platform providers. I think that's a way to start expanding awareness about your offering and building a foothold where you can expand your sales staff naturally through partnerships. I hope that helped.
Sounds good. And we have one last question from Catherine. What is the best advice you have for businesses targeting the B2B market versus those more targeted to B2C?
It's a really good question. I think a lot of the things that we talked about today is making sure one, if you're not online today, I think it's an absolute great opportunity to get online. Two is, if you're targeting B2B, is ensuring that a lot of the steps that we went through today, that you have those outlined, especially around this idea of customer segmentation and creating price lists and being able to create unique rewards and loyalty. But and then obviously from that perspective, if bringing that business online is clearly that awareness and consideration funnel, so that really focusing on the SEO front. And then I guess beyond that, depending on, and maybe it would be also helpful to know specifically the level of business that you're in. I was trying to think through, but depending on the nature of the business, if there are associations, groups that are tied specifically to kind of the industries that you serve, especially if they're kind of vertical focused, we've seen some of our customers do a really great job in devoting time to whether those are local chapters, those are things that they could do more broadly here domestically, and getting their involvement in that and joining as many of these opportunities to join those trade shows or conferences as well to build awareness around what problems you're solving.
Awesome. And then we do have another question, but we are running out of time right now. So there's a question from Thomas Lucier. And then if you could answer that one, Joel, maybe via chat. So,
okay, I'll look into the chat. I will stop. I'll stop having everybody see the shine off my head. I'll get off video and I'll jump in the chat and see if I can answer that.
So we'll bring the shine back to my head, right?
Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you so much, Joel.